Hey guys, Srdjan General here, and welcome to the Srdjan General Podcast, where we have real conversations with real people about virtually anything, giving it to you straight with no chaser. Now, I want to dig a little deeper and get the female perspective on dating and deal breakers. Dating during a pandemic can be tough, so I also want to know how girls like to be approached these days, what they like, what they don't like. I mean, hell, I can't read your mind, so tell me what you want, what you really, really want, all right? And if you don't know that reference, you're probably too young for me. Here to help me understand females better is friend to the show, Selma Reed. Selma girl, what's good?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Things are good. Living the quarantine life.
Tell me about it, right? So, my question is, what are girls into these days? Is it the asshole? Is it the bodybuilder? Is it the dad bod? Country boy? Like, what's up with that? What's popular? Because clearly I'm none of those.
I mean, I have heard that like the dad bod is in. I don't know how much truth that is to that, but I have heard like they want someone who's not so like out there, like not, not so much of a player. So there's some of those, but then there's some girls which I've never understood. um that just like that asshole type, and I
Mm,
don't know what it is. In my experience, I have dated someone before that was just an asshole. Like, you think about it, you're like, why am I writing you, five messages and you get back to me on your terms? But then I'm like,
yeah,
why did I go back and write to him the next day? Like, I should have shut that door and said, you know what, fuck you. Like,
yeah.
it's, I don't care anymore. But then I would go back. So I think, I don't know, this is my perspective, but it's like that hard to get game.
I fucking hate the game, and you don't even know how much because I'm a straight shooter. Either you want it or you don't. Either you want to
Hmm.
talk or you don't. Either you want to hang out or you don't. So I hate when I have to like fucking butter you up, so to speak, and it just seems a little fake to me. I call it the
Yeah.
honeymoon period where all
Hmm.
things are, bubble gum and gumdrops for like the first couple months, and then the mask starts to peel off and people start to realize, oh my God,
Yeah.
how do girls like to be approached? Let's just assume social media is not there. How do
Right.
women like to be approached in public? Because for me, I'm not the type of person to just be like, walk up to someone at the bar and be like, hey, baby, what's up? I'm going to fucking order you a drink. I'm not that person.
Right. Right. Right.
That
I
seems a little
mean,
bit
now to
predatory to me.
now to speak, right, yeah, but like now to speak with like COVID happening, like are we really gonna hit somebody up on, at the bar or not? Like it's
Yeah.
very like it's zero chance that I'm gonna have someone walk up to me. I'm like, wait, whoa,
Six
whoa,
feet,
like back
bitch.
up. Yeah, right. Um, but I have gotten run into at the grocery store. Like, I've noticed that
Ooh.
lately. The grocery store, I'll have someone run like outside while I'm checking out, and I feel like when someone follows me, I kind of, you just feel
Someone's like
like
after
whoa,
you.
whoa, like who's after me? Like what's going on? But then I noticed I checked out, I paid for all my stuff, and I went outside, like I'm going towards my car, and some guy's like right behind me. He's like, excuse me, excuse me. I was like, yeah. And I turned around, he's like, hey, I just want to let you know you're
I love your
beautiful.
oranges.
Right? What are you
Those are
buying that?
some
What are you buying that lemon
those are
for?
some mean potatoes you bought. Totally.
Oh my God. I didn't find it offensive that someone at the grocery store left their cart, walked outside,
Had the
or
balls to actually talk to you.
but he didn't do it at the grocery store where it would have been awkward at the end, where like we still would have seen each other in a different aisle.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Oh, you
hey,
want you want like
yeah,
tampons too?
exactly.
Totally.
So I'm glad it wasn't in like an awkward aisle, or where I would have to see him again in the grocery store if I shut him down. So he literally just like nicely walked outside and was like, hey, I want to let you know you were beautiful. Are you single? I would love to take you out for a drink. Boom. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're so sweet. I'm actually, I can't.
Hmm.
So he was like, no worries, have the best day. Like, he wasn't salty about it, very. And he was actually, he looked like he just got off work. It was like that rush hour of like 5, 6 o'clock where
It
you're
was
like rushing after work
spontaneous.
to go. Yeah, it was
It's
super,
not like he
it was
was
just very different.
deliberately on the hunt at grocery stores for chicks like you.
Exactly. So I think it was like in a very in a good, it was like a good vibe. Like I'm like, "Oh my gosh, she's
Right.
a star." Like it was cute. Another thing, the gym. I feel like a lot of my girlfriends get hit on at the gym, but in like there could be like the nasty way, at the in the
Yeah, let me
corner.
help you
And
squat.
exactly. No, no, not that. That's the opposite you want to do. Oh my gosh, I think that's the reason I wanted to cancel my gym membership. Can I show you how to, can I spot you? No, I'm okay. I'm okay, sir. I'm
You would
I'm
have been like,
fine.
if I wanted your damn help, I would have fucking asked for
God, exactly.
it.
If she's walking downstairs or getting a towel, you kind of make your way and be like, "Hey, how are you? Like, do you come here often? Like, is this your main gym?" Like,
Hmm.
and I feel like you can start a conversation, and then when you see her again the next day and then the next day, I feel like doing it like on the third or fourth time you see her wouldn't hurt to be like, "Hey, can I take care of her bill?" I
Yeah, I was
mean,
gonna say, put that on my tab.
we're in hard
Totally.
times. It's so sad that we can't sit here and really talk about being like at a restaurant and I don't know, and just being like, "Hey, go
But
get
it's
that girl's
also
number."
sad that people, because of social media, don't have social skills. People's social skills are like really coming to zero. And it's like I could be doing something simple or asking something simple like, "Hey, what's the time?" And the girl will be like, "Oh my God, no, no, no. I have no change." Like acting like I'm some kind of homeless person on the street, you know? That's what's terrible.
But
And
that's
that
why I think, yeah, that's why I think you should just like take a little bit of a back of that like social butterfly and try like the little tiny social media path just a tiny bit.
I'm old school when it comes to dating, where it's like I like to meet in person, have that conversation, feel you out, vibe wise, with consent. Um, and I also like to get a referral from somebody because I would trust someone else's opinion, and
Right.
I would get that background check first before I even engage in something a little bit more seriously. So that's the old school in me. I don't do the dating apps. I believe the killer is on there, and I don't want to be stuck with like a specific pool of people that are just signed up to this, and I'm stuck
Right.
picking from this, you know?
But have you tried?
I have not because I feel like I'd be embarrassed to come across somebody that I know who I'm sure would probably be in the same boat like, "Ooh, I didn't want you to see that I'm actually on here."
Really? Honestly, I'm gonna give you my advice. Just do it. Just do it to see, like, break that ice, like, barrier, because you never know who's on there. And just trying it out, like, literally, what's the worst that can happen? I really
I
doubt
mean, you could get
someone's gonna kill
killed
you.
by someone you
You
don't
can
know,
you
you can
can,
get catfished by someone
you
you
can,
don't
but you can
know.
also get killed by someone here, I feel like
That's also
it's such
true.
a small chance that you can just take,
I
and
mean, if you're gonna
it
get
won't
stabbed, at
hurt.
least have a cup of coffee
At least
beforehand, right?
exactly, exactly.
That all being said, what are some deal breakers for women? What is something that guys do or say that makes you say "Hail to the no"?
Oh god, there's so many.
Like, is it
Oh my
the type of
god.
underwear that they wear? Is it the
Yes,
way they
I
act?
think that one right there draws me to the to the roof. Um,
So, what do you think is the
but
preference
all
when it
women
comes to
have it.
underwear?
I've always been a boxer brief girl, not
Got
like a
it.
boxer or like an underwear kind of type, like a speedo type thing.
Mhm.
Everybody has a preference, but I like if I saw someone just like wear checkered, like just checkered underwear, I would lose my shit and be like, and if they had socks on.
I mean, they can take off their socks, but then again, that's probably the last thing they're thinking of when doing the deed. You'll be thinking, not sock. Seems kind of silly to drop someone for something like that, though.
It I've seen it a lot happen, even with my girlfriends. They're like, "Oh, I don't like the way he dresses," and they won't even give him a chance. I'm like, "You have no idea. This guy could probably be like the best thing that's ever happened to you, and you are going to judge him off of something that can be changed."
Right.
So, I think women are that petty, if I might say, that
Yeah.
they will do it for simple things like that. Then there are those materialistic women who care about what you do for a living, what you drive, what you that's a whole nother story. If you're still on that level, I don't even want to talk about that because it's just ridiculous.
I would consider myself, okay, let's not judge me by the hat and what I'm looking like right now because I'm very, toned down. But
Yeah,
typically, I would categorize myself as a well-polished individual who
yeah.
can dress. I got the car. I have a job. I got a place. Even a fucking vacation home. And it's like, even those superficial things don't get, the girls to the yard for the milkshake. It's the chance that I feel like a lot of girls aren't giving because they have
Hmm.
preconceived notions and I don't want to say picky, but everyone strikes for that like Sports Illustrated model or like
Right, right, right.
and that sort of thing. And I don't know if people need to just get off their high horse and realize that not everyone is like that, but with dedication, they could potentially be that.
But at the same time, there are some women out there who are amazing and receptive, and I think the chance is all that needs to be given to like find out how much time you can spend with someone to know their true beliefs, and if they're wearing what kind of boxers they're wearing, or what kind of car they're driving, like that. Those are all materialistic things and that can be changed. So I'm never going to give someone advice and say, oh, look at this,
Hmm.
and don't look at that. There's other things that if it can be changed, to me it's not a deal breaker. So,
Totally, totally. I
unless he
mean, I wish
has
everyone was the
bad breath.
same.
Yeah, if he
Oh,
has
I
bad
mean,
breath,
that's
it's
a
it's a no-go.
deal
That
breaker for
that can that
anybody.
can be that can be changed.
It
That
can,
can
with
be.
a little bit of
No.
mouthwash and some gum.
God.
Maybe a tongue scratcher or whatever the hell it's called.
How are you going to tell him? How are you going to tell him?
Do you want some gum?
I still wouldn't kiss you if I gave you gum, because I'm like, why did your breath stink in the
uh,
first place? Like, I'm a very clean person. If I
totally.
come to your place and your place is a wreck, it
Hmm.
doesn't smell good, it's like, it's just disgusting, I can't do it. It tells you a lot about a person. Not
Absolutely.
not judgingly, but I feel like the way you were raised, and from the Balkans, I would get my ass whooped if I would come home and I would leave my
Absolutely.
jacket at the door and I would go eat. And if like I've seen some people just like eat and leave their dishes and like go, I'm like,
No,
do you know
not
what
in
my,
this
my mom would
household.
have done?
No.
Yeah, I would have got that plate chucked across the room. And my
No,
mom didn't give a
she
shit
would
about
pull your
homework.
hair and show you
Yeah.
what you did and then make you do it.
I would just hear, like, I have PTSD right now from my name being screamed across the room
Selma,
to
bitch,
come
que te
back and
manda
yes,
ya.
yes, to come back and get my fucking plates. I'm like, oh fuck. So nowadays, that to me is like how you were raised. Were you
Mm,
raised to, be welcoming? Like, turn on a damn candle if your apartment stinks. Throw the laundry in the closet. I just don't want to see your dirty drawers.
right, right.
I don't want to see it. I don't care where it is. But if my underwear fall on the floor and I have to pick them up and I pick them up and there's like dust mites, oh no.
Sticky.
Yeah, just dust mites everywhere. I'm like, oh my god, why did my underwear fall on a clean floor and they're dirtier? So yeah, I feel like that's probably the best advice I could give you as far as like those deal breakers.
Let me just start off by saying my dating life is like a dead heart monitor, okay? Either I'm running into the wrong people, there's nobody of my interest, or I'm being auctioned off against my will. Am I
What?
cursed? Yes. I swear to
Um,
God.
I don't think, first of all, I don't think you're cursed. I think it's like, I'm such a firm believer in like wrong time and meeting people at the wrong time. Like, I've always been a firm believer because I'll sit there and look at myself like, man, why didn't I meet my ex right now? Or like,
Hmm.
why didn't I meet my significant other at this specific moment? But I think when you kind of put things in perspective, you're like, man, shit, does it really happen like when it needs to happen? Like,
Right.
is things really meant to be? I mean, I don't know. When you look for a girl, what do you look for in a girl?
So if we're vibing and you can make me laugh, then you got one foot in the door already.
Okay. Okay.
So that's very minimal. And for me, it's like loyalty, trust, and being family oriented are super important to me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
superficiality out there, and it's like, I don't want an attention seeker. I'm a firm believer
Right.
is how you found her is how you're going to lose her.
Is
if
how you're
I
gonna lose her. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so that sort of thing. But
That's why
what
my question was like, why? Like, is it because maybe, you're interested in a specific type, or these girls are like, oh, you have a high standard. So, but you're fine. You're definitely not picky, too picky. I wouldn't say that. I don't think you're asking for too much. I think you're just going across maybe the wrong women.
there are a lot of people who are Balkan who are getting engaged to non-Balkan people. And I found that very interesting. I'm like, that seems to be a going trend here.
I feel like you give off that like no Balkan vibe. I don't get that
You
from
know
you.
what? In the back of my mind, I'm like, maybe I should branch out even more. But my
Yeah,
biggest thing is like, I like our culture.
I
I've
know,
been
I
very
know.
involved with like all this stuff, even though I'm born here. But it's tough when someone's not from your region, they don't get a lot of the stuff and they don't get understand the language. So you're almost like a babysitter when it comes
Hmm.
to being
Yeah,
with your family.
yeah.
And that's a
But
tough
see, I've
sell for
I've
me.
always I've never dated anyone from my culture ever. I've always dated American. Always like mixed, like German is from Switzerland, but like pure
Hmm.
American, Native American, whatever. And they were so open to the culture, probably more than me. Like I'd be like, "Oh,
Hmm.
what's this?" Or like, "How do you say it in Bosnian?" I'm like, "What the fuck? Just eat." It's
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it. So they were so open to, and maybe because the world we're in right now, that everyone wants to be so intelligent and know where it is. Like, what's the
Hmm.
culture? Can we go there? Like, they feel like women feel cool dating someone that's not, that's different. They can learn from
Hmm.
them. And I think maybe if you asked this question like 10 years ago, women would be like, oh no, I don't care about your culture. But now, because the world we live in, it's like women are proud to be like, oh, my husband's this. Like
Hmm.
he's that. He's not just, our baby's going to be mixed. She's from, Serbia. So I think it's that also kind of ties into it. Try maybe, there's an American girl who had grandparents that were, or great parents that were Serbian, and she still has that ethnic culture, but doesn't really know anything about it and would love to meet someone. So,
In my mind, I feel like I stopped myself from having these potential relationships because in the back of my mind, I'm like, you're not from this region. You might not understand me. This
mhm,
big chunk of me, it's not going to work.
yeah,
And
no, don't
we
think
don't
like
even have
that.
to get married right away. It's not even
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah,
that. But
yeah.
I
But I
always think
swear,
about the
don't think like
future.
that. I know, but listen, who are you going to live for? Like, your culture is always going to be there. It's not going to go anywhere. It's just a matter of you know how they say like you can't take the cell or
You
the
sell out of
whatever
the
out of,
person,
yeah.
but yeah.
It's the same thing. Like, I was with American for that long and I'm like, wow, I've never felt more Bosnian, because I'm like, shit, I had to dig down deep in my roots and show this person because he was interested. So
Hmm.
that might be another thing where you're like, man, he's interesting. Like, you sound smarter, you speak two languages,
Hmm.
but yeah, thinking about the future, yeah, it's a little hard because you're like, fuck, now I gotta explain everything.
Does your family have issue with you branching out, or do they not care?
In the beginning, yes. In the beginning, yes. Like, my sister is with somebody who's Cuban. My dad was like, oh, I'm gonna, like, oh my gosh, it's never gonna happen. I'm gonna disown you. My dad's like, pack your bags. And
Hmm.
then, like, same thing with me. It was like, why are you with this guy? Like, you could find someone like Nash. I'm like, um, yeah, because all our Nash people in the bars are drinking until 3 a.m., going back living with their parents, and all they care about is driving Audis and BMWs, and that's all. That's all. Like, I didn't find that
Yep.
interesting. So I wanted something completely opposite just to get away from that. Like,
Hmm.
I never. Maybe that's how I don't know a lot of our people, because I'm like, I didn't hang out in those places, because when I would
Right.
go, I would eat, I'll pack my shit, and I'm out. So I never wanted to be that girl that goes into bars, dances, she's, at whatever
Like
piccolo,
submerged
where the
in
fuck,
it.
yeah. Yeah. And then I'm like, I like never had success finding someone there. And if it was like a hookup, and I'm like, peace out.
Peace
I
out.
never
Yeah.
wanted my name to be like slapped where my dad would say, oh, my daughter used to go here, but in the
Hmm.
beginning, like, when I started dating, he's like, "That's ridiculous." And then my mom kind of softened him up a little bit, and then it was all fine. It's like my dad was like completely okay with whoever I date, but in that first, for men, it's different. I think it's easier. Like if you brought a girl that's American, I think it's so much easily like accepted than if
To a
a girl brings over
degree,
a guy.
I feel like they would be
Yeah,
like, oh, this is not serious. Just let him have his fun.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then they get
Yep.
the wedding
Mhm.
invitation.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh fuck, how are we
Yeah,
gonna
too late.
split
We
the
should have stepped
room?"
in earlier.
I know, but versus with us, it's like the father just goes nuts, and then he's like, "Okay, it's whatever. It's not a big deal. I
You're a
can't
lost
do anything." At
cause.
that point,
Let
yeah,
her
you're a lost
go.
cause. Yep,
There's no
exactly.
saving you now. You're too far gone.
My favorite excuse is like, "Well, at least I'm not at the casino. At least I'm not gambling. At least I'm
Oh,
not doing drugs." So
totally,
those are my favorite Balkan,
totally.
like,
Like, yeah, I don't do drugs.
I
I
could be
don't
here.
drink,
Yes.
you know, all that stuff. You know what? It is hard out here in these streets, man. It's like before people were afraid of like catching an STD. Now it's like, show me your negative COVID test, and
Yes,
maybe we can talk.
I know,
That's
right?
what's terrible.
Exactly.
Plus, the other issue is the possibility of running into someone with extra accessories under the hood. Nothing wrong with
I
that,
know.
but it's
Yeah.
not the Amazon package that I would typically order. Product not as described, but it's all good. So,
I totally agree.
is there anything that you can tell me advice-wise on how I can better approach women, whether it be social or in person? Any advice that can help me start the conversation? I can carry on the conversation. I definitely can talk about some random ass things, but I don't know what's that fish hook type starter conversation to have with somebody. I think that's my
Honestly,
biggest issue.
I think it depends on the women. Um, it could go both ways. Like I mentioned, it could go so smoothly as you do it socially, or on social media, where you like swipe up on a couple of stories, like a few pictures, and then you know be indirect but be direct.
Hmm.
And then this might sound complicated, but then you can also be very direct. Just be very direct. If you like a girl and she's been on your stories, she's single, just send her a message, be like, "Hey, look, you're cute. I would love to take you on a lunch date."
Hmm.
It's as simple as that, because when you shoot that shot, as they say, what's the word? She's gonna say no. And
Right.
but my first advice is to get you on a dating app.
You know what? Make a profile for me. We'll
I'll
create a
be like, "Hey, I
series.
found you a girl." I'll
Selma
set you up
helps
on a blind
surgeon.
date. I'll
Oh,
I'll set you up on a blind date. You will give me the profile details. I'll find a girl. I'll set you up on a blind date.
and then when she asks me, "Oh my God, when you talked about puppies and animal activism, I really felt that," I'd be like, "What, bitch? What?" That sort of
Let me give
thing.
you the real me. Yeah, no,
Totally.
I totally, I can't wait till you try it and just like we get the feedback of, "Look, I'm on a date. I'm gonna be the happiest person ever."
All right. Thank you so much for doing this with me, and I hope you had
Of
a good
course.
conversation because I sure as
No,
hell did.
I did totally. I'm gonna give you my number. I'm gonna slide in the DMs.
Ah, yes, we're starting off
You see
early.
how it
We're
works?
practicing what we preach. Is that how this goes?
Exactly,
Damn,
exactly.
I'm gonna have interviews on this podcast with everybody then, if that's how this is gonna go. This is like the most action I've gotten in all 8 months.
Oh my god, I'm fucking dying.
Totally. All right. Thank you so much. Talk to you later. And thank you guys for listening to the Surgeon General podcast. This is Surgeon General signing off.